fraud guy, and he's talking about when child support's unconstitutional, but not clarifying exactly when it's unconstitutional. I thought I was really clear about it and said the same thing over and over again, which I say in a lot of other videos. But somebody was confused and said, so you're saying child support isn't unconstitutional and dads aren't getting extorted. Let's get some basic stuff down that I've said repeatedly in videos before. When a lot of you guys, you try and grasp a piece of an issue here and a piece of issue there and a piece of issue there. Let's make a basketball example of what a lot of you guys do. You don't get the foundation or the fundamentals down, so then you get lost in the fray of all the extra stuff. So if I'm going out to play basketball and I don't know how to dribble or pass or use my pivot foot, some of the basic things, and then I just want to run out there and dunk, I'm going to run and travel and take steps and dunk because I want to do the flair and the fantastic stuff. Or I want to deal with all the fringe stuff. I need to get the basic fundamentals down. So if you don't have the basic fundamentals down about court or issues or what the court is about and how stuff works, you're going to get lost when I start talking about complicated issues like the constitutionality and stuff. So listen very carefully if you want to understand some of this stuff. If you just listen to, like, barely listen or you're halfway in and out, and then you want to ask a question, I don't understand, and you don't want to listen. And I know that 90% of people who watch my videos, and a lot of people who even call me, they don't like to listen. I had a guy just yesterday, he called me, and every time I started to talk, he's rambling and blabbing over me because he just wants to emotionally spit diarrhea of the mouth because he's a feminine male, and being emotional, he doesn't want answers. He just wants to blab. So I had to hang up on him because he didn't want help. He just wanted to waste my time. So in America, we are called we the people. We are the bosses of this country. Our politicians work for us. I know it's backwards now, where a lot of fruity, gay, feminine, sheep, brainless zombies, as soon as the government says wear a mask and hide in your house and don't live anymore, we obey them because all these non-doctors and non-scientists are practicing medicine and telling us it's dangerous, and we just listen to them because they're an authority, and we're a bunch of bitches who listen to whatever a politician tells us to do. But it's the other way around. The Constitution starts off, we the people, or the Declaration of Independence. We the people, we're separating ourselves from we run this country, we make laws, and we send delegates or representatives to go to Congress and write up laws that we ask for. Now, we've gotten away from that because we're all a bunch of lazy bums who don't participate in the process, so politicians and the mafia have infiltrated, and 99% of politicians are corrupt, okay? But it's supposed to be, we write laws and tell we propose laws, initiatives, bills, and then we propose them and send them to our legislators or legislators, and they go and vote on them, and they put them in there. Right now, the government and politicians think that they run us and own us, and they're our mommy and daddy, and they can tell us what to do, and we obey like bitches, like I said. But we pass the laws, and we create institutions or whatever, or taxes, or want taxes repealed. In Washington, our tabs or our tags for our cars used to be a percentage of the car. And then a guy proposed something, $30 tabs for everybody. The government's going to have to figure out how to spend the money efficiently. And then the government added about 5 or 7 different taxes that we didn't ask for. We voted for that. And they think they're smarter than us, and they are, because they maneuvered that stuff. We pass laws to create laws that you can do alimony and divorce and child support in the courts, where we vote for the judges that apply our laws, interpret them. That's the courthouse over here. I was very clear in my video, and there's people who are asking questions about it and not following along. There's the courthouse that we voted in and said this is perfectly legal. And because we voted it in, it's technically constitutional. Now, I say the entire family court system is unconstitutional because they slipped these laws in, but technically it's we the people voting, and we want these laws. The government is getting involved in domestic affairs and telling people when to do their chores, when to spend time with the kids. The government doesn't come in and knock at your door and say, hey, you spend time with the kids today, you pay for the rent, you pay for your Victoria's Secrets bill. But when you break up, they get involved. Why don't they get involved like that before? Because it's unconstitutional. It's still unconstitutional. So when the government gets involved, in something like that, it makes it unconstitutional. But because we pass laws, technically it's constitutional. The part that's not constitutional is the administrative offices of Division of Child Support and DSHS. Those are at a different building. Okay? So the slow retards out there. Courthouse, we voted the judges to be in there. Laws about child support that are written down in the courthouse, we voted for that. Now, technically, some of that might be a sham. We didn't really want that, but it's voted in. It's constitutional because we're a constitutional republic that operates. The administrative side of Division of Child Support, when they order child support, when they write down what a child support order, or when they send you a letter at a last known address and they default you and they order child support and you never had any due process, that's unconstitutional. And the punk ass bitch for child support is fraud. He gets up there and says child support is constitutional, and all men get sexually aroused and get hard because like, oh my God, this is what I've been waiting for. Some numbnuts on the internet says it's unconstitutional, and I don't want to do any of my own research, so I'll just believe him. And then here comes James, and I say, no, only this part's unconstitutional. And then I screw up your sexual arousal mid-orgasm, and you guys get upset and don't know what the F is anybody's talking about because you can't listen. And I know I sound like an a-hole, but I'm fresh off of watching Dad's Lives Matters page and everybody whining and crying about how mothers alienate kids and dads aren't going for full custody. My gender's a bunch of pussies. And then when I thoroughly explain something on my free time, people are like, I didn't get what you just said. You got to pay attention and listen. When we pass laws and go through the proper process, all of that is constitutional until the Supreme Court says something unconstitutional, like separate, like Jim Crow laws, separate but equal is equal, Brown versus Board of Education, overturned Plessy versus Ferguson. If you've never heard of those things, go Google them and read them and learn some shit. Instead of just watching my videos and think, if you go to a college or even high school, you listen to a lecture, you got to go home and spend some time reading that and absorbing it. You can't grasp everything just watching it, just watching me talk about it. This is why we're such dumbasses, because we're followers. The child support is fraud guy got 100,000 followers. Fathers Matter 247. Dad Talk Today. 50-50 Dads. They got a bunch of followers because everybody just likes to listen and watch a video and go, oh yeah, women suck. My feelings are hurt because my baby's mom. And none of them show you guys the pathway to have solutions on how to fix this stuff. Everybody just wants to listen and get entertained and get their ears tickled. They don't want to learn and absorb this stuff. So everybody continues to be confused and ask questions about stuff I've said over and over and over again. You got to actually want some of this stuff. You got to actually care. I got people who've watched me for months or years, and then they call me after they got screwed in their divorce, then they got screwed on a modification, then they're not seeing their kids, and they're not doing a contempt motion, they're not doing jack shit what I talk about, and then they say, James, I've been screwed for 15 years, my kid's about to be 16, rescue and fix this stuff. Like, why didn't you get off your ass and do at least some of the stuff I was talking? I just did a video where I said, if you just do one or two things that I'm talking about, you can turn your case around, but you guys aren't even doing that shit. You're your own worst enemy. This is why I talk the way that I do. The system hasn't changed in 60 years because all of the fathers' rights groups are sitting here whining, crying, and pissing and moaning with no answers, no plan of action. I'm telling guys, go get full custody of your kids and do it without an attorney, problem solved. And you don't even want to try that because you're scared little bitches who don't want to grow some balls and put some energy into it. Or if you have an attorney, you tell your attorney, hey, I want to go for custody. They say, you can't do that. You go, oh, okay, I'm sorry for even asking. Please don't give me 40 lashes, please. I'm sorry for even committing blasphemy and thinking a man could have custody. Even though all the statistics show that single custodial father homes have just the same results and numbers as intact married homes. Why? Because the protector, the leader, the one who gives male affirmation, the fatherly affirmation, the most important thing in a kid's life, all come from the father. You take that away, you're taking away 90% of what a kid needs growing up. But people don't want to do that because it sounds controversial. It's politically incorrect. And this bitch-ass, faggoty society we live in, you can't grow some balls and act like a man and have the audacity to say, I deserve custody. Time to deport these judges who take the oath to bar a foreign entity. That's great. You have a comment on here. People, dads have been talking about that for 60 years. Why don't you go to the courthouse and protest a judge and have a case number like I do, which is work and proven to work. And I show you videos of me protesting. Put the judge's name and a case number and say, this judge gave the kids to a mother and the child got molested by her boyfriend. Embarrass the judges in their bubble and they'll start changing their rulings. I've done it before. It's happened. And I'm a little tired of doing it for dads who don't come out and protest with me. And I care more about other dads' cases and their kids than they do. Talking about it in comments, time to deport them, time to disbar them, nobody's doing shit about it. In Washington State, we once had I want to make sure my phone's not getting hot. It's in the sun there. In Washington State, we had 2 lawyers that had the balls to run against corrupt judges. And I called every father's rights group I knew and said, get you guys out here to volunteer and go door to door and tell people to vote these judges out. None of them showed up. Not one. Hundreds of dads available to participate in this. None of them showed up. And the judges won. See, when it comes time to do something about this, everybody just thought, and I'm not saying this guy is doing that, he makes a point, but I'm telling you guys, if you want to disturb the bubble of the judge, don't sit and wait for 2,000 years that the system will change and then we'll have judges voted out. There's a judge in old Europe from like hundreds of years ago. He took a bribe in a criminal case. They skinned him alive for that. The people realize the judges were in a certain place. The judge committed treason and betrayal of the people. He wouldn't put a bad guy away. He took a bribe or whatever. They skinned him alive. Now, I'm not advocating for that, but I'm just saying we had some balls back then in society to stand up to people. We just sit down and bow down and lay down. And then all these fathers' rights groups, when they do have a protest, they have signs that say, honk if you love dads. Dads are people too. Pussy ass bitches in the fathers' rights movement. Ryan the tough dad. Fathers are people too. That guy crapped on me a little while ago. Recently I said he doesn't like me and I posted a video, reposted it. He goes, oh, I like what you're doing. And he's still out here with the pussy ass bitch promoting fathers' rights movement 50-50 laws. I'm sick of these a-holes. Nothing is changing because all these groups ain't doing shit. And I'm the asshole because I won in court and it hurts people's feelings. And I brag about how I won to give people hope that you can. If I'm a warehouse worker who flunked out of college and got full custody of my daughter without a lawyer, you can do it too. And then dads who lost, like that Texas Penal Code 2503 guy, that fat F piece of shit is on there saying, oh, if you're representing yourself, you're going to lose because they hate you for representing yourself. I repost his video and say he's lying. I won. I got thousands of guys who won something in court. He's lying. And what did the guy do? He said, oh, you don't have any followers. You're delusional. And he starts talking like a baby's mom toward me with his femininity instead of saying, damn, dude, how did you get full custody? Instead of being a real man and saying, I thought it was hopeless for pro se, how did you do it? I get haters from guys who lost who need information that I have because they don't like me saying that I won. And it's possible for guys to win. The fathers' rights movement and fathers' rights advocates are just as backwards of the court. Everybody's whining and crying about the courts, but all these bitch-ass mother effers, dad talk today, 50-50 dad, even Judge Anthony, Family Court Corner, all these people who say they got solutions, all they're doing is whining about the system. And they get hundreds of thousands of followers and get an erection because they got followers, and they don't give a shit about actual solutions. Or they get paid or they get donations. Mark Ludwig from the Fathers' Rights Movement, he fights to pass 50-50 laws. What's the root of the problem? The judges ignore the law and ignore the evidence. And then women lie about domestic violence and child abuse to get custody. Now, if they pass laws saying automatic 50-50 unless there's domestic violence or child abuse, how much more are they going to lie about that and get away with it? And the judges ignore the evidence and believe the mother against all logic and rule in favor of the mother against the father. Mark Ludwig and these retarded, he's so sexually aroused because he's posing right with the legislator right next to him. Watch his videos. He's standing there giving a speech, or he's doing something important. He's standing next to a famous person. The Fathers' Rights Movement guy in Ohio once told me, I pointed out in Michigan that dad was getting in trouble for speaking out against a judge, and the judge found him in contempt. or ordered him not to speak out, and he did it anyway. Now, I would not have advised him to violate the court order. I would advise him to appeal that it's unconstitutional. But this dad, technically, he didn't do anything wrong. He exercised his free speech right. He was prosecuted for criminal contempt, and they acquitted him after 7 minutes. The Father's Rights Movement guy in Ohio, whoever that fruity little faggoty bitch is, he said, I said, go take all your resources and go to this case, because people don't care about family law. The media doesn't care. But if it's a free speech issue, this might gain national attention. He said, nope, we're not going to do that. Why didn't he do it? He said, well, that guy broke the law. And plus, we can't look bad because we're building relationships with legislators. An ass-kicking, F-faced, fruity gay boy who runs Father's Rights Movement in Ohio said, we're not going to disrupt that, and we're not going to descend upon that court and protest and bring attention to it. And the dad was acquitted in 7 minutes. I was on the right side of history on that. This guy was not, and he didn't want to do it because he's too busy licking the anus and rectum of legislators who are lawyers usually, who are sellouts, who don't give a shit about this stuff. It's almost like you're on the side of what is it called? Whatever the Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi side were on. It's like, you're like, hey, I want to try and help change this war between the dark side of the Force and, the Empire and, Darth Vader and them. Let me go over there and talk to him like Judas. Like Judas wanted to help Jesus by turning him over to the Pharisees, and then he could go up there and pull a miracle or do whatever. And he thought he was doing the right thing, and then he realized he betrayed him. And then it'd be like going over to the dark side of the Force and negotiating with Darth Vader, and Darth Vader makes you a deal, and you think you're gonna cause peace, and Darth Vader pimped and played and used you. These Father's Rights Movement guys are working with the legislators who pass laws about domestic violence, and if you wink at a woman on the street, she can get a restraining order. In Washington, we have a law that says if you drive erratically, you can get a protection order. So if you swerve and miss a squirrel and your wife is in the car, she can get a domestic violence protection order against you because of that. And the Father's Rights Movement, feminine, fruity bitches. Look at Mark Ludwig. Is he the epitome of manliness to you?
On the 50-50, if children need equality.
And he's such a dumbass. He thinks 50. Children suffer when dads aren't in the home full time. You punk ass bitch retard. And I'm being nice with my words right now, because just think about in the black community what a house slave did. Like in Django, Stefan, he's hugging on Leo DiCaprio, whatever his name is. Stefan is hugging on his master, and he's shooting at runaway slaves or whatever he's doing. Total sellout. That's what the Father's Rights Movement is. They're up there saying, well, I just want to articulate the strata and the data and break down how, children suffer if fathers aren't in the home. So let's do 50-50. Let's have 50% of the time with the alienating, narcissistic, child-abusing, psychotic Jezebel mother, and let's work with her. That's what we want to do. We don't want to ask for full custody because we don't want to blaspheme the mother. All the science says that all the problems with children that escalate. Now, every family has a rate of, let's say 1 out of 1,000 kids attempt suicide that came from a married home and family. There's always tragic stories. Nothing fully goes away, okay? I'm not saying that. But when you have a single mother home, the 1 out of 1,000 goes to 80 out of 1,000 or 120. It goes up 100 times. When you have a single custodial father, they still only have tragedies of 1 out of 1,000. What's the consistent thing? What's the safest place? With the father in the home full time. And these sellout POSs are saying, oh, let's do 50-50. That still falls short of what's best for a kid. They're being politically correct bitch cowards. Anyway, let's see if I have any questions here. I just want to get on here and answer about the child support thing. It's unconstitutional and division. Follow along, okay? Just be quiet and shut your mind down and shut up and listen. Because a lot of you guys can't listen. The courthouse is the courthouse created that enforces the law and puts people in jail and does divorces. Division of Child Support doesn't do divorces. They don't do restraining orders. They don't do custody orders. They only do child support. That is an illegal entity because it was not enacted by the law. People in government created it. We are supposed to pass laws that we approve of Then we put stuff in place. That was bypassed. That did not happen with Division of Child Support, DSHS, the IRS, the Homeland Security. All these government agencies were created by people in government. And since Division of Child Support is, yes, they're extorting money from us. No shit. I didn't say that they're not. And the family courts are too, but we allowed that to be in place. Anyway, I'm tired of repeating myself, so let's see. Hi, sir. I wrote a dystopia about social justice. Are you interested? Read. I can say, nope, I'm not interested. I help people win in court. I don't have shit time of 1 minute to read your text messages of your entire case, to read your emails. If you actually have some balls and you're not a punk ass bitch like 99% of men, you will text me and say, James, I need some help. I'm desperate to get my kids. When can we talk? Boom. I had a guy at 5:30 in the morning call me. I picked up because I happened to be up before I was about to go to sleep because I pulled an all-nighter. And he wanted to ramble on and ramble. Do you want some help? Yeah, I want an appointment. But this first and that first. I'm like, well, what about this? Yes. I said, well, wait a minute, dude. It's a yes or no question. So let me ask you this all. And then he's like, well, forget it then after 12 minutes. I have zero tolerance for people. Oh, James, we had an appointment a long time ago. Let me ask you this question that takes a 2-hour lesson. You're a freaking retarded dumbass bitch if you think that you can get an answer to your entire life with your kids or how to go to trial or how to do a motion by texting me. This is not a fast food drive-through one-touch button quickie answer. This is the war of attrition like I talk about all the time. If you watch my videos and you never get an appointment with me and you absorb that stuff and study and listen, you can actually go to court and go to trial and put on your own case and win. I've already given you a bunch of free videos when it's convenient for me and given you way more information than anybody. So you know what a lot of you guys think? Not all of you. There's warriors out there who want to fight and respect my time. But you know what most of you think? Oh, this guy does so many free videos. Let me just text him. Oh, he charges for one-on-one time. Well, let me just text him and sneak in this and try and steal some free time from him. You are a pathetic loser who will never win in court because you have a welfare mentality like a bitch. And if nobody ever calls me again and doesn't like what I'm saying when I tell the truth, then fine, I'll go get a real job and have more peace than having to fight through all day long. I fight through 4 or 5 guys who bomb me with some bullshit and say, read this. And I'm like, why? Because I want an appointment with you. Get an appointment and then we'll read it. You don't go to a doctor's office and then you bring a stack of papers. Like, let's say you have a diary about the pain you're going through and dealing with cancer, and you got a book this big. And you go to the doctor's office and you drop off the book and say, tell the doctor to read that and I'll schedule an appointment. The secretary or the receptionist say, what the F is wrong with you, you retarded idiot? Get an appointment and talk about your issues. And none of you guys would do something that's stupid. But when it comes to family court, we turn retard. We are so brainwashed by the Jezebel narcissistic abuse that we become brain dead and lose 100 points on our IQ score. And we're like, oh, let me just see if I can get a quickie. I just have a quickie question, James. How do I get ready for trial? That's like going to an astronomy professor and saying, how do I find out the distance of a star? First of all, you got to look at how to read the spectrum when the light comes through and it's a black and white spectrum, and you got to get lessons on chemistry and how that works. You think you can get a quickie answer for that? You think you get the answers? You don't go to class all semester, and the day before the final exam, you show up and ask the professor, hey, what's this all about? It's just a quick question, so it must be a quick answer. What's the meaning of life? What are the different components of a cell? That's a short question that takes an answer of a lecture for 4 hours. The fact that you can't grasp that, you're freaking retarded. Or you're lazy. Or you think you deserve an automatic answer because you're the father of your kid, and so you automatically get to win in court. That's a pussy-ass bitch mentality. You're in a war. So here's what you got to think of at the beginning. I'm stupid. I had a kid with a crazy chick. I was desperate or thirsty for love or sex or a one-night stand, or I didn't vet and really date my baby's mom and get to know her. Now, every once in a while, I say 10% of the cases, she totally bamboozled you. I've been totally bamboozled a couple times. Most of the time when I saw a red flag, I was gone after my, baby mom, tried to play me or whatever. And then I got suckered one more time 20 years later. But I could call a spade a spade. I'm not such a pussy where I can't. You know what? I was stupid. I got suckered. I was a dummy. I should have seen the red flags. I should have known better. Get some. Worried my phone's gonna. Yeah, my phone's getting hot. So I'm gonna have to make some noise in the background, but I'm gonna see if people have questions. I don't want to miss any questions. You know what's crazy is that, you know, I posted, you guys got any questions, and like 8 people asked questions. I got 9,000 subscribers on YouTube, and 8,992 people didn't give a shit about asking to get a free answer. But then I got people bombarding me all day when I'm busy with other stuff, saying, hey, read this, do that. Hey, James, here's a video of a dad getting screwed. You mother effing retarded bitch. I've been doing this for 24 years. You've been on this for 6 months or 2 years. I already know everything I need to know. Do you go up to Michael Jordan and say, hey, look at this guy. Look at LeBron James. He traveled here. Do you think Michael Jordan gives a shit to waste his time on something petty like that? I'm here to help people win. There's a war going on, and your bitch ass wants me to go read an article so I can say, yeah, that's really horrible, and we can commiserate. Go to a father's rights movement meeting. They love spooning each other and dry humping in a fetal, in a spoon position, and licking each other's necks and whispering sweet nothings and whining and crying about the system. Go hang out with the faggot rights movement, okay? Hashtag TFRM. I'm here to help you get going. Even when sometimes when people call me, they're like, James, you're really great. I appreciate your videos. They inspired me. Like, I don't even need to hear all that. Let's go. I'm here to help. Let's fight. Are you ready to go? Let's teach you everything that I can teach you and give you guidance to go find stuff and look stuff up to get on the offensive. But really, even after all that, like I said in a video a minute ago, it only takes 1 or 2 acts of you. But you guys sit there, I'm paralyzed in fear, I'm scared. If I step out, I'll be uncomfortable. It'll hurt my feelings. I got a labia injury. My butthole itches. I can't move from this seat. I'm comfortable sitting here paralyzed. While you're getting royally screwed on supervised visitation. You got nothing to lose. Why don't you go out there and just try one of the things that I've talked about and shown actually works? Guys who've actually done 1 or 2 of the things I'm talking about get immediate results and immediate response and immediate wins. Not all the time. I would say it's about half. Half of the cases, it takes longer. 10% of the cases, you're going to just have to take your case to trial. But 95% of court cases settle out of court. That means the mother's willing to compromise. But if you're going to be a bitch ass, sorry about the background noise, but I got to get my AC going because the phone is hot and it'll interrupt me right in the middle of me talking. So I can even say sorry when I'm on an a-hole sounding rant. You know, the reason why I don't have any reservations about possibly looking like an a-hole is that you guys need to wake the F up and get a dose of reality. What you're doing isn't working. What the father's rights movement folks are talking about isn't working. The system has been the same for 60 years and nothing is changing anytime soon. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. I got the AC going in the background. So I just want to make sure that my phone doesn't get hot. Okay. So states need to go through the legislature, shut down equity courts, and restore common law courts and jury trials. If we had jury trials in family court, that would fix stuff, but it's not happening anytime soon. No parent should lose rights to their children unless a jury of their peers rules that they're an unfit parent. Right. But see, we don't even need that stuff. You're talking about go to a jury trial. We don't even need that stuff. You know why? Troxel versus Granville already says that. But none of you go to court and talk about it except for a rare few people that get a consult with me. Troxel versus Granville already says that we assume that fit parents act in the best interest of the child. So if you're a fit parent and you're walking into court and nobody found you to be unfit, they have to assume you act in the child's best interest. Why the hell are you not arguing that shit that's already there? Everybody wants this pie in the sky. Let's turn the system upside down. Let's gut the system. Let's change. Why don't you just go argue what your rights are already now? Because you're too much of a pussy-ass bitch coward. Go argue your rights now. In criminal court, they say my client's innocent until proven guilty. You're doing something that prejudices and taints the jury. We want the jury eliminated, start over with new jury, or a hung jury, or there's a tainted jury. In criminal court, a lot of attorneys will zealously fight for their client and their rights like that. We have rights on paper, but you pussy-ass bitches won't even say it in court, and you get railroaded because you don't say it in court, and then you want to say, well, I want the entire court system upended. Because we're pussy-ass bitches and we want somebody else to do it for us. That's the root of the problem right now. You have all the rights in the world under the current system. And if you could just get a judge to be unbrainwashed, see, we let radical feminism dominate. Just like in the Jim Crow South, we let racism dominate. Black folks had just as many rights on paper as white folks. Why weren't they getting them in Jim Crow South? Because people weren't standing up for them and influencing the judges and unbrainwashing their racism. It eventually happened, and it took 60 years to go from Plessy versus Ferguson to Brown Board Education. And then it took another couple of decades for black folks to actually get a semblance of equality in regular everyday life. None of this happened overnight. And so because bitch-ass punk coward men go into court and they don't argue their rights and demand them because they're scared little bitches, the judges run them over. You're in court with all these rights, and then when you get your ass handed to you, and you go curl up in a ball and you dry hump another man at the Father's Rights Movement, then everybody's saying the answer is 50-50 laws or upending the system. We already have the answers right there. Now, it should be a jury trial. It's screwy that a judge. So I'm in agreement with that. But you can go in and win right now. I got custody right now. Why the F won't people ask me, how did you get full custody? Let me try that. And people say, we want to upend the system, totally undo the system. The system, the system, the system. Me? And I stopped counting at 300 dads and got full custody without a lawyer, and thousands of others have went from nothing. I had a guy, I showed you guys a testimony. This guy was on supervised visitation, and he got a final order of 50-50. And nobody gives a shit except for like 3 guys who called me since then and said, I saw that testimony. I want to find out how that works. 9,000 followers. 3 dads are not punk-ass pussy bitches, and they got some balls to say, you know, Jay, I had a guy who I met with in person in my hometown this weekend. The first thing he said, we sat down at a Starbucks. I work from home, so we met in a public place. I gave him all kinds of stuff. We could have talked for 4 more hours. I gave him all kinds of stuff that he never got from anybody else, not a facilitator, a lawyer, whatever. There's a lot of stuff he needs to learn. He sat down with me. He goes, don't go hard at me, dude. You know, I've been kind of a pussy, or he said something like that. I said, dude, I'm not here to do all that. On my videos, I wake people the hell up, but if you want some help, I'm your best advocate out here. I just have to wait, because if I get on here and I say, hey, I got full custody without an attorney. I'm a warehouse worker who flunked out of college, and I've helped thousands of guys win in court, and dads can win. Then all I'll hear from everybody is, you can't win, whine, cry, piss and moan, punk ass bitch, sissy, whine, cry, piss and moan. So I'm up here waking everybody the F up, and if you don't like it, then you're not made to fight for your kid, because if this hurts your feelings, then when a judge says you're a domestic violence perpetrating monster and all this other stuff, and you never cited Troxel versus Granville, you never cited all the science, you never cited the London Journal of Primary Care, you never cited Richard Warshak's study, you got a kid who's 3 years old, and you got every other weekend, and there's scientific data by 111 scientists confirming that 50-50 plans are way better for under 4 kids. And then the mother goes in and says, oh, the 10 years doctrine. That's 160-year-old outdated science from old Europe when they used to leech people or bloodlet to cure diseases. And your dumbass is letting all that stuff infiltrate the court, and you don't shut it down because you don't want to get any help from somebody who knows how to combat that stuff. So I'm waking people the hell up, because I'm sick and tired of everybody being a pussy and whining, crying, pissing, and moaning, and wanting the system to change, their lawyer to change, everything else to change. Nobody gives a shit. Let me give you a dose of reality. No one in the entire world, besides God and maybe a couple and your family, gives an actual shit about you and your kids in your custody case. Nobody. And the only people who can affect your case in court are the judge, a guardian ad litem, a parenting evaluator, a friend of the court, a parenting coordinator, you and the mother and your attorneys. And none of those people give a shit about your kid or the best interest. So who's the only person who actually gives a shit? It's you. Who's the only person who can save your kids? It's you. And what are you doing? I need somebody else to come save me. I need the system to change. I need new laws. I need the father's rights advocate to come to court and display pins and put peer pressure on. I need somebody else. No, you need to do it, bitch. If you don't, your kids suffer. If your kid runs away, gets kidnapped, has a disease, you go hunt down the answers. You go find the kid. You don't wait on somebody else. Why is family court any different than the way you would operate in regular life? Somebody bullies your kid at school. You go in and talk to the principal and talk to the parent and have a meeting, demand a meeting, or press charges. But when you break up with your baby's mom, you can't confront her like you would a principal or demand intervention by the police or something like that. Somebody kidnaps your kid, you go to the police and you press charges. Somebody breaks in your house, you go to the police, you press charges. Somebody violates your parenting plan, your baby's mom, you sit like a little bitch on your little labia and don't do anything about it. You don't even try contempt. This bitch ass time vampire who called me yesterday and wanted to he said, you know, I need help. I'm getting screwed. I haven't seen my kid in 2 months. This guy has a court order for every other weekend. And he said, I said, why don't you just go to the school and pick up your kid? He goes, I did that once. And the mother said, okay, go ahead. I agree. Well, why didn't you do it again? I'm not going to do that. So the guy is missing out on 2 months with his kid because he's a pussy ass bitch. And then he wants to talk over me the whole time. I'm not here for the 90% of you who don't give a shit about your kids because I can't help you. Now, one thing, you do not have to stir up a feeling of courage for you to actually go to court and do anything. You know what you do? You make a decision. Just like somebody who's fat and out of shape and needs to exercise or eat better, they do it whether they feel like it or not. Just like you do as a man every day to provide for your family before the family broke up. You didn't feel like going to work and slinging some crap in some pipes if you're a plumber or a sub pump or a, what's the tank behind the house that the stuff goes to, an old school tank you have right there. Or, you know, when you're doing Mike Rowe's dirty jobs type of jobs, you're a crab fisherman, you go there and risk your life. You climb telephone poles and risk your life. You don't feel like doing that shit, but you do it because of your duty. Why did that change in family court? Why can't you fight through your feelings? Because there's a spiritual war and there's a brainwashing by spiritual forces that causes the curse of Jezebel to come over your head and you turn into a bitch and you follow it. You follow that instead of your conscience. You know, like the cartoons, they got the little devil and the little angel, and you listen to this voice and you listen to this voice and you start doing that and you become that. Why don't you listen to this voice and fight through your feelings? When I was in my custody battle, my own sister said, James, give the mother what she wants. You're going to give yourself a stroke or an ulcer. My 2 boyfriends spent $100,000 and got screwed. You're going to get screwed. I didn't listen to her. I loved my sister dearly. She's passed away now, but I didn't listen to her. She wanted to kill my baby's mom and beat the snot out of her, but I didn't listen to her because she was wrong. I followed my conscience. I had to fight for my kid. Goldberg and Jones, divorce for men lawyers, told me I'll get every other weekend. I said, F you. What the hell is wrong with you? I work at night. I can have my daughter during the day. Oh, you'll still get every other weekend. Punk ass bitches. I hung up on them. I didn't listen to anybody that violated my conscience. That's what it comes down to. Following your conscience and what you know is right, and then actually doing it or doing something about it. If you don't know what to do, get help from somebody who actually did it, like me. Outside of that, anything else you say outside of that is fluff, a waste of time, and some stupid bitch-ass whining crying. We're in a corrupt system right now. The only way you have a chance to get your kids is to go for full custody. And you know what's so stupid about fathers' rights movement and punk-ass bitch dads? They'll say, well, I don't want to take the child away from the mother. You stupid, dumb, low IQ, brainless zombie bitch. If you got full custody, you have control of the kid, and you can let the mother see the kid as much as you want. If she gets custody, or you don't fight for custody, and you're only going for 50-50 or every other weekend, she gets control, and you don't see the kid for a minute more. You dumbed down, numbnuts, piece of shit, cowardly bitch. How the hell do you live with yourself thinking like this stuff? I don't want to take the child away. You're such a bitch-made Jezebel brainwashed coward that you think if I get custody, it'll hurt somebody's feelings and I worry what everybody thinks. I don't give a shit about what my kids think about me and spending time with them. I care what the judge thinks, the guardian ad litem thinks, society thinks, feminists think, all these people who don't know. You know, when I first got 5 days a week visitation, the judge chewed us out. She goes, I can't believe you people. Look at all this paperwork. And look at all this paperwork and your kid's only a few months old. Grow up, people. Get along. Now, it was 100% the mother's fault, but I sat there and took it. Do you think I gave a shit what that judge's little diatribe was for 1 minute? Because at the end, she says, you guys have a beautiful daughter. Congratulations. Do you think I gave a shit that she was mad for a minute? You pussy-ass bitches are scared. See, you would have been scared and ran out and grabbed your crotch and said, oh, my labia hurts now because the judge yelled at me, and ran out in the middle of the court hearing. I sat there and took it, and then I walked away with 5 days a week. Stop being a bitch. Truly, though, what about the state court, especially court, family, judges, quasi, a lawyer hired? They're quasi-judicial, administrative, private contractors only allowed to be refereed. Who gives a shit? I don't care about legal theory right now. What about it? If you want to take on the entire court system and upend it, go right the frick ahead. I'm helping guys get the physical possession of their kids right now. What the fuck? Why do you want to talk stupid ass legal theory? Who gives a shit? I'm here. If I got the cure for cancer and you got cancer, you're going to die in 3 weeks, and you talk about all the theories about cancer and how good and bad it is and what's the worst cancer, who gives a shit about your theories? Go get the treatment and get the cancer out of you. Yeah, I'm going to get back on. I'm missing a bunch of questions, but I got to go. I took my sister with Down syndrome to a doctor's appointment. So, let me see if I can. Dad filed visitation, maternal grandmother filed guardian in Kings County. Kings County? If you're in King County in Washington, somebody needs to get a hold of me because I know Washington like the back of my hand. Dad filed visitation, maternal grandmother filed guardian. Okay, that doesn't tell me anything. I don't know what you want me to say about that, but if you need help, then what do I do after mother's in contempt? Do I motion to enforce? No, you never motion to enforce. You motion for contempt. Go watch my video on why aren't you doing contempt. Septic tank, that's what it was. Thanks. Okay, I got to jump off here. Sorry, guys.